ٹی آئی نے عمران خان صاحب کی شے کے اوپر شوکت ترین صاحب نے جو شرمناک کردار ادا کیا، اس کی جتنی بھی مذمت کی جائے کم ہے۔ آپ سوچئے کہ یہ لوگ، ان کی ذہنیت کیا ہے کہ ایک شخص کی انا کی آگ جو ہے وہ بجھ نہیں پا رہی، ایک شخص کو اپنے اقتدار کا اس قدر ہوس ہے کہ وہ پورے پاکستان کی معیشت کو اور 22 کروڑ عوام کو اپنی اس آگ میں جھونکنا چاہتا تھا۔ شوکت ترین صاحب نے، پی ٹی آئی نے وہی حرکت کی آئی ایم ایف پروگرام پہ جو بھارت نے کی۔ پوری دنیا نے پاکستان کے اس پروگرام کو سپورٹ کیا، ماں سوائے بھارت کے۔ پاکستان سے باہر بھارت نے آئی ایم ایف پروگرام پاکستان کا اپوز کیا، اور پاکستان کے اندر پی ٹی آئی نے اسے اپوز کیا۔ اب آپ بتائیے، ممنوعہ فنڈنگ اور فورن فنڈنگ کی کڑیاں ملتی ہیں کہ نہیں ملتی؟ جب ہم کہتے تھے کہ یہ پاکستان دشمن لابیز سے فنڈنگ لیتے ہیں اور وہ فنڈنگ لے کر پاکستان کے خلاف کام کرتے ہیں، تو اس سے بڑا ثبوت کیا ہوگا کہ ایک طرف بھارت آئی ایم ایف کے پروگرام کے خلاف ووٹ دے رہا ہے، اس کے حق میں ووٹ نہیں دے رہا، اور دوسری طرف پی ٹی آئی اس آئی ایم ایف کے پروگرام کو سیبوٹاج کرنے کے لیے کوشش کر رہی ہے۔ یہ میرے نزدیک اور ہر محب وطن پاکستانی کے نزدیک غداری کا عمل ہے، ملک سے غداری ہے، عوام سے غداری ہے، ان غریبوں سے غداری ہے کہ جو اس وقت سیلاب کے اندر ڈوبے ہوئے ہیں، ان خواتین سے، بچوں سے غداری ہے، بوڑھوں سے غداری ہے جو اس وقت مدد کے طلبگار ہیں۔ آپ سوچئے کہ اگر آئی ایم ایف کا پروگرام اس وقت نہ ہوتا، آج وہ روپیہ جو نیچے کی طرف آ رہا ہے، اگر خدا نہ خواستہ کل وہ پروگرام نہ ہوتا تو آج شاید خبر ہوتی کہ روپیہ 250 روپے پہ چلا گیا ڈالر کے مقابلے میں۔ اس سے مہنگائی میں کس قدر مزید اضافہ ہوتا، اس کے بعد شاید یہ اس سے آگے بھی لڑک جاتا۔ تو کیا آپ ان حالات میں، جب پاکستان کو ایک ایک پائی کی ضرورت ہے، پاکستان کو قطرے قطرے کی ضرورت ہے غیر ملکی امداد کی، اندرونی امداد کی، زر مبادلہ کی، ہم ایک ایک ڈالر کے لیے دنیا میں جا کر دوستوں سے رول اوور کرا رہے ہیں لونز، اس موقع پہ جب ہمیں زر مبادلہ ملنا تھا، ان سخت شرائط کے اوپر جو پی ٹی آئی طے گئی تھی، پی ٹی آئی کہتی ہے جی یہ کل تک مخالفت کر رہے تھے آئی ایم ایف کے پروگرام کی، آج یہ اس آئی ایم ایف پروگرام کو بچانے کی باتیں کر رہے ہیں۔ ہم نے اپوزیشن میں پی ٹی آئی حکومت کی طرف سے اس معاہدے پہ جب بات چیت ہو رہی تھی، اس وقت تحفظات کا اظہار کیا تھا کہ آپ بہت سخت شرائط پر اتفاق کر رہے ہیں، یہ سخت شرائط عوام کے لیے بہت گراں گزریں گی، لیکن پی ٹی آئی نے نیگوشیٹ نہیں کیا، سرنڈر کیا تھا۔ آج ہمارے پاس چوائس نہیں تھی کہ ہم یہ چوائس ایکسرسائز نہیں کر سکتے تھے کہ آئی ایم ایف کے پروگرام سے نکلیں، کیونکہ پی ٹی آئی ہمارے خزانے میں کچھ چھوڑ کر نہیں گئی تھی۔ اگر آئی ایم ایف کا پروگرام بھی نہ پکڑتے تو پاکستان سری لنکا کے انجام کی طرف چلا جاتا۔ کیا وہ قابل قبول تھا؟ تو ہم نے پی ٹی آئی کا دستخط کیا ہوا پروگرام اس لیے قبول کیا تاکہ پاکستان خدا نہ خواستہ ڈیفالٹ نہ کرے، پاکستان سری لنکا کے انجام کی طرف نہ جائے۔ اور میں اس آئی ایم ایف کے پروگرام کے ذریعے جو ہمیں بریدر ملا ہے، یہ کوئی ہمارے لیے زیادہ خوشی کی بات نہیں ہے کہ ہم کیوں آئی ایم ایف پر بار بار جاتے ہیں، ہمیں یہ ایک سانس لینے کا موقع ملا ہے۔ اب ہمارا چیلنج ہے کہ ہم اپنی اکانومی کو اس سیلاب کی تباہ کاریوں سے بھی نکالیں اور اس کے اندر اتنی جان پیدا کریں کہ ہمیں دوبارہ آئی ایم ایف کے پاس جانے کی ضرورت نہ پڑے۔ لیکن ان حالات کے اندر آپ دیکھیے کہ ایک سیاسی جماعت جو حقیقی آزادی کا نعرہ لگاتی ہے، وہ لیڈر جو حقیقی آزادی کا چیمپئن بنتا ہے، وہ پاکستان کو معاشی غلام بنانے کی سازش کر رہا تھا۔ اگر یہ آئی ایم ایف کا پروگرام نہ ہوتا منظور، پاکستان خدا نہ خواستہ ڈیفالٹ کر جاتا، تو پاکستان کی معیشت غلام معیشت ہو جاتی، کیونکہ پھر کریڈیٹرز نے ہمارے لیے بیل آؤٹ پیکج لکھنا تھا کہ ہم کن شرائط کے اوپر بیل آؤٹ حاصل کریں گے. تو آج قوم کو اس حقیقی آزادی کی اصل تصویر نظر آ گئی ہے. یہ دھوکہ ہے, یہ فریب ہے, یہ سراب ہے. اصل جنگ اپنی کرسی کی ہے, اصل جنگ اپنی انا کی ہے, اصل جنگ اپنی ایگو کی ہے, لیکن اس میں سزا 22 کروڑ عوام کو دی جا رہی ہے. اور میں سمجھتا ہوں کہ ہر محب وطن پاکستانی کو جو کسی بھی وجہ سے عمران خان کے پیچھے لگا تھا, اب وقت ہے کہ وہ اس اصلیت کو جانے کہ عمران خان کا ایجنڈا پاکستان نہیں ہے. عمران خان کا ایجنڈا اس کی اپنی ذات ہے, عمران خان کا ایجنڈا اس کی اپنی انا ہے, اور عمران خان کا ایجنڈا وہ فورن ممنوعہ فنڈنگ کے ڈونر ہیں کہ جو اس کی پیچھے سے ڈوریاں ہلاتے ہیں. عمران خان ایک مورا ہے جو فورن فنڈنگ کے ساتھ چلتا ہے, اور یہ پاکستان دشمن قوتوں کے ایجنڈے کو پاکستان میں پورا کرتا ہے, جس کا سب سے بڑا ثبوت یہ IMF کے پروگرام پہ بھارت اور عمران خان اور PTI کا ایک ہو جانا نظر آ گیا. اب اس کے بعد اگر کوئی نہ دیکھ سکے حقیقت, تو میرا خیال ہے اس کو اپنی آنکھوں کا معائنہ کرانا چاہیے. ایک اندھے کو بھی نظر آ گیا ہے کہ عمران خان اور بھارت کا ایجنڈا ایک تھا کہ پاکستان کو IMF کا پروگرام نہ ملے اور پاکستان ڈیفالٹ کرے. جب اتنی بڑی تباہی ہو تو سنگ دل سے سنگ دل بھی پگھل جاتے ہیں. یہ کیسا لیڈر ہے کہ جس کو ان غریب لوگوں کی, ان عوام کی تباہی, ان کی بربادی, ان کی مفلسی, ان کی بیچارگی پر بھی ترس نہیں آتا, اور یہ ان کے اوپر مزید مہنگائی توڑنے اور بربادی نازل کرنے کے لیے سازشیں کر رہا تھا کہ IMF کا پروگرام پاکستان کا نہ منظور ہو سکے. تو میں سمجھتا ہوں کہ یہ ہمیں بریدر ملا ہے, ہم اسے کامیابی نہیں کہہ سکتے, یہ ہمیں سپیس ملی ہے, اور ہم نے بحیثیت قوم مل کر کام کرنا ہے, پاکستان کو ٹرن اراؤنڈ کرنا ہے, پاکستان کو اپنے پیروں پہ کھڑا کرنا ہے, اور پاکستان کو ایک مضبوط معیشت بنانا ہے. یہ وہ عزم ہے جس کے لیے ہم سب دن رات کام کر رہے ہیں. وزیر اعظم شہباز شریف صاحب, ان کی ٹیم, ہم سب اپنی تمام صلاحیتیں اس مشن میں ہم نے وقف کی ہیں, اور میں پاکستان کے ہر پروفیشنل کو, ہر ایکسپرٹ کو, ہر بزنس مین کو, ہر انجینئر کو, ہر ڈاکٹر کو دعوت دیتا ہوں کہ آئیے اس قوم کو دوبارہ کھڑا کرنے میں اپنا اپنا کردار ادا کریں. اب سیلاب کے بعد ہمیں اگلے 4 سے 6 ہفتوں میں خطرہ ہے کہ ان علاقوں کے اندر کولرا, ملیریا, ڈینگی, ہیپاٹائٹس کا اظہار ہو سکتا ہے, چونکہ پوری دنیا کا یہ ایک تجربہ ہے کہ فلڈ کے بعد 2 سے 4 6 ہفتوں میں یہ بیماریاں پھوٹ سکتی ہیں. ہمیں ان پہ قابو پانا ہے. ہم صوبائی حکومتوں کے ساتھ مل کر کوشش کر رہے ہیں کہ ان پر قابو پائیں, اور اس کے لیے بھرپور کوشش کریں. لیکن پرائیویٹ سیکٹر کو بھی میں کہوں گا, ہاسپٹلز کو کہوں گا کہ وہ اس میں بڑھ چڑھ کر حصہ لیں. اور آخر میں آپ دیکھیے یہ کتنے سنگ دل لوگ ہیں کہ کل وزیر اعظم نے پوری ملک کی قیادت کا اجلاس بلایا, جس میں عسکری قیادت بھی تھی, سندھ بلوچستان کے وزیر اعلیٰ بھی تھے, لیکن پنجاب خیبر پختونخوا کے وزیر اعلیٰ نے اس اجلاس میں شرکت نہیں کی جو پاکستان میں اس سیلاب کی تباہی سے نکلنے کے لیے قومی لائحہ عمل بنانے کے لیے بلایا گیا تھا. یعنی کہ یہ سیلاب کے اوپر بھی سیاست کر رہے ہیں. اس کا مجھے بڑا افسوس اور دکھ ہے کہ کچھ ایسے مرحلے آتے ہیں, کچھ ایسے موڑ آتے ہیں قوموں کی زندگی میں جہاں پہ صرف ملک اور قوم اور عوام کا سوچا جاتا ہے, وہاں سیاست بھلا دی جاتی ہے. لیکن یہ لوگ ہر موقع کے اوپر سیاست کرتے ہیں, قوم کی تباہی بربادی پر بھی سیاست کرتے ہیں, اور قوم کے مستقبل کے اوپر بھی یہ بھارت کے ساتھ مل کر اپنی کھیل کھیلتے ہیں اور اپنی سازش کرتے ہیں کہ پاکستان خدا نہ خواستہ ڈیفالٹ کرے. لیکن الحمدللہ ہم اس سے بچ گئے.
شکیل صاحب سما سے
فرمائیے گا کہ IMF پروگرام کا آپ نے ذکر کیا, کیا یہ آخری پروگرام ہوگا؟ ہمیں پاکستان کو دوبارہ پروگرام نیا دینا پڑے گا, اس کیونکہ حالات سے اسی جان لگ رہے ہیں. دوسرا अब तक कितनी फॉरेन एड पाकिस्तान को मिली है या प्लेजेस हुए हैं, और थर्डली जो एग्रीकल्चरल सेक्टर है उसका बहुत ज़्यादा नुकसान हुआ है, मतलब कपास की फसल तबाह हो गई, गंदम के ज़खायर सुना है काफ़ी डैमेज हुए हैं, तो असेसमेंट है कि
जी देखिए, इस वक्त पाकिस्तान को जो सबसे ज़्यादा नुकसान हुआ है वो सूबा सिंध और सूबा बलूचिस्तान में हुआ है। तकरीबन ये दोनों सूबे, इनकी ज़रई मईशत तबाह हो गई है, अनडेटेड इन वाटर, पानी से डूब गई है। इनके अंदर कपास की फसल तबाह हो गई, चावल की फसल तबाह हो गई, खजूर के बाग तबाह हो गए, और इसी तरह उनका जो भी लाइवलीहुड था वो तबाह हो गया है। और एक सीरियस हमें फूड सिक्योरिटी चैलेंज दरपेश है। आपने देखा कि टमाटर और प्याज की जो शॉर्टेज है उसकी बड़ी वजह यही है जो हमारी फसल थी सिंध में, बलूचिस्तान में, वो तबाह हुई है। और आपस में डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन नेटवर्क्स टूट गए हैं, सड़कें टूट गई हैं, सप्लाईज डिसरप्टेड हैं, और इसके लिए हुकूमत हंगामी बुनियादों के ऊपर देख रही है कि वो जो अल्टरनेट सोर्सेज हैं उनसे हम अगर इंपोर्ट करने की ज़रूरत है तो इंपोर्ट करें, ताकि प्याज और टमाटर और जो इसेंशियल गुड्स हैं एग्रीकल्चरल, आवाम की कंजम्पशन के लिए एवरीडे आइटम्स हैं, उसमें हम जो कमी है, जो शॉर्टेज है जिसकी वजह से कीमतें चढ़ रही हैं, उन्हें काबू में ला सकें। और इसके लिए हम हंगामी बुनियादों पर इक़दामात उठा रहे हैं।
मईशत की दीवार संभलने को तैयार IMF इजलास का एलामिया जारी। $1.1 अरब किस्त की मंजूरी दे दी गई। IMF एलामिया के मुताबिक IMF FF प्रोग्राम के तहत 7वां और 8वां इक्तिसादी जायजा मुकम्मल कर लिया गया। हुकूमत पाकिस्तान ने माली बैरूनी हालात बेहतर करने के लिए इकदाम किए। हाल ही में मंजूर करदा बजट पर अमल दरामद तरजीह होनी चाहिए। IMF प्रोग्राम की बहाली मईशत के लिए अहम है, लेकिन ये मंजिल नहीं मरहला है जो मुल्क को मुआशी बहाली के रास्ते की तरफ लेकर जाएगा। वज़ीर आज़म शहबाज शरीफ का ट्वीट। लिखते हैं, मुआशी खुद इन्हसारी के लिए हमें दिन रात मेहनत करना होगी। पाकिस्तान को मुआशी जंजीरों के चुंगल से निजात हासिल करना होगी, जिसका वाहिद रास्ता ढांचा जाती इस्लाहात हैं। बलोचिस्तान में सैलाब की तबाहकारियां जारी। मजीद 2 अफराद जाँ बहक। अमवात की तादाद 250 तक जा पहुंची। सबसे ज्यादा 27 हलाकतें कोयटा में हुई। सूबे में बारिशों के दौरान मुख्तलिफ हादसात में 110 अफराद जख्मी हुए। पाक फौज का फंड रेस्क्यू एंड रिलीफ ऑपरेशन जारी। आर्मी चीफ मुतासरा इलाकों के दौरे पर सवात पहुंच गए। आर्मी चीफ कमराट कलाम और गिरदनवाह में फंसे अफराद के इनखला का जायजा लेंगे। आर्मी चीफ इलाके में जारी इमदादी कार्रवाइयों पर ब्रीफिंग भी लेंगे। भूख प्यास के सताए बेयारो मददगार सैलाब मुतासरीन ने डेरा मुराद जमाली में इमदादी ट्रकों पर धावा बोल दिया। इंतजामिया के मुताबिक इमदादी सामान जिलाई इंतजामिया की जानिब से तकसीम के लिए लाया गया था। सैलाबी रेलों ने रेल का पहिया एक बार फिर जाम कर दिया। 15 रोज के लिए ट्रेन सर्विस बहाल न होने का इम्कान। रेलवे हुकाम के मुताबिक ट्रैक्स की मुकम्मल मुरम्मत में 3 माह लग सकते हैं।
ब्रेकिंग न्यूज ये है कि अभी तकरीबन हमें 1.5 घंटा हुआ है, 200 करोड़ क्रॉस कर चुके हैं फॉरेन फंड।
माशाल्लाह। ये जो अब अगला मरहला है, ये सिर्फ कौम इसका मुकाबला कर सकती है, क्योंकि जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का डैमेज है और ये जो सारा असेस करेंगे, ये गवर्नमेंट अकेली नहीं कर सकती। और अगर हम ये समझते हैं कि बैरूनी मुल्क, और मैं देख रहा हूँ कि उनसे मदद मांगी जा रही है कि बाहर से, मेरे नहीं ख्याल में बाहर से ज़्यादा पैसे मिलेंगे। मैं समझता हूं कि इस वक्त सारी कौम को मोबिलाइज होके पहले तो अब ये असेस ही कर रहे हैं कि कितना डैमेज हुआ, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कितना डैमेज हुआ, अभी तो उसकी असेसमेंट आ रही है।
सैलाब मुतासरीन की मदद के लिए इमरान खान ने टेलीथॉन ट्रांसमिशन सजा ली। पाकिस्तानी और ओवरसीज के सैलाब मुतासरीन के लिए बड़े ऐलान। सैलाब मुतासरीन के लिए 5 अरब से जायद रकम जमा। इमरान खान का कहना था कि हमें बाहैसियत कौम अपने सैलाब मुतासरीन की मदद करनी चाहिए। नौजवान रजाकार फोर्स में शामिल हों और मुतासरीन की मदद करें। वजीर पंजाब परवेज इलाही ने अपना हेलीकॉप्टर रिलीफ कामों के लिए वक्फ कर दिया। काबीना का 1 माह की तनख्वाह भी रिलीफ कैंप में देने का ऐलान। चौधरी परवेज इलाही का कहना था कि मुश्किल घड़ी में दीगर दूसरे सूबों के भी साथ खड़े हैं। घरों, फसलों और लाइव स्टॉक के नुकसान का इजाला करेंगे। हर हकदार को उसका हक दिया जाएगा। रियासत इमरान खान पर कोई भी मनफी लेबल लगाए, पाकिस्तानियों को उन पर मुकम्मल एतमाद है। शीरी मजारी का ट्वीट। लिखती हैं, जब लोग आप पर भरोसा करते हैं तो ही वो अतिया करते हैं। सिर्फ 3 घंटे में इमरान खान की टेलीथॉन ने सैलाब मुतासरीन के लिए 5 अरब रुपए का अतिया जमा किया। रियासत इमरान खान पर कोई भी मनफी लेबल लगा सकती है, लेकिन अंदरून और बैरून मुल्क पाकिस्तानी उन पर मुकम्मल एतमाद करते हैं। पाकिस्तान में सैलाब की तबाही के बाद सब्जियों का फुकदान, कीमतें आसमान तक जा पहुंची। पाकिस्तान का ईरान और अफगानिस्तान से प्याज और टमाटर दरामद करने का फैसला। वजारत तिजारत ने दरामदात की समरी तैयार कर ली। समरी मंजूरी के लिए फौरी तौर पर इक्तसादी राब्ता कमेटी को भिजवाने का फैसला। अदारों के बयान और बगावत पर उकसाने का केस, शहबाज गिल की जमानत की दरख्वास्त मुस्तरद। अदालत ने गुज़श्ता रोज़ दरख्वास्त पर फरीकैन के दलाइल के बाद फैसला महफूज कर लिया। भारत के बाद अफगानिस्तान भी रूस से सस्ता तेल खरीदने को तैयार। तर्जुमान अफगान वजारत इक़्तिसादियात हबीबुर रहमान हबीब ने तस्दीक कर दी। अफगान वजारत तिजारत का वफ्द रूसी दारुल हुकूमत मास्को में मौजूद। और क्रिकेट और शाहीन शाह अफरीदी के फैंस के लिए अच्छी खबर। शाहीन शाह अफरीदी की बेहतरी के लिए उन्हें लंदन भिजवाने का फैसला। चीफ मेडिकल ऑफिसर शाहीन शाह अफरीदी की जल्द रिकवरी के लिए पुरुमीद। बोले, उम्मीद है शाहीन शाह ICC T20 वर्ल्ड कप से कबल मुकम्मल फिटनेस हासिल कर लेंगे।
livelihoods and livestock, and severe damage to property and infrastructure. Southern, central, and northern Pakistan have been the worst affected, particularly Balochistan and Sindh. It is feared that the scale will exceed that of the 2010 mega floods or super floods. Nature is sending us all a new message. And because of its geographical location and a confluence of other vectors, Pakistan has become the ground zero of this century's biggest existential threat, global warming. In some areas, the water is just everywhere, in an unbroken horizon of inundation. 72 districts have been declared calamity hit. Over 33 million people have been affected, which is the size of a small country. More than 1,100, including women and children, have lost their lives, and many more are injured. Livelihoods are severely impacted with the loss of livestock, not to mention crop losses, among other crucial sources of sustenance. Hundreds of thousands of women, children, and men have been displaced and forced to spend days and nights in camps and open areas under a merciless sky. Lack of access to food, clean water, shelter, and basic healthcare is making life harder for them with each passing day. Critical infrastructure, roads, bridges, and railway networks have been seriously damaged and destroyed. This is impeding our efforts for delivery of aid and transportation of affectees to safer locations. The situation is likely to deteriorate even further as heavy rains continue over areas already inundated by more than 2 months of storm and flooding. For us, this is no less than a national emergency. For the most vulnerable, especially the women and children impacted by this disaster, this is a life-defining experience. Excellencies, I've personally visited many of the flood-hit areas. Words cannot describe what it feels like to see people displaced from their own homes while mourning the loss of their loved ones. I've seen the pain, anguish, and suffering in their eyes, having literally lost everything they owned, now waiting for the next food pack, unsure about their futures. They are looking up to us for survival and to rebuild their lives and livelihoods. In addition to the human misery, these extraordinary floods have taken a severe toll on the economy and further stretched our limited resources. Excellencies, the government of Pakistan is cognizant of its responsibilities and has been leading the humanitarian response with invaluable support from the United Nations and humanitarian partners. As part of our national efforts, we've earmarked $173 million to help flood-affected people through direct cash transfers. This will be dispersed through the Benazir Income Support Program to 1.5 million families who will each receive 25,000 rupees in immediate cash relief, Rupees 5 billion has been allocated to the National Disaster Management Authorities for relief efforts. The government is also providing 1 million rupees in compensation for next of kin of the deceased, 250,000 rupees for injury and for partial damage of houses, 500,000 rupees for destroyed houses. In addition to financial support, food packs, shelter items including tents and water, sanitation and hygiene supplies are also being provided by the National Disaster Management Authorities and the Provincial Disaster Management Authorities. The government's efforts are being supported by the Pakistani nation, with people, civil society and humanitarian organizations stepping forward in a big way to complement the relief work with our characteristic generosity and philanthropic spirit. The Prime Minister's Relief Fund 2022 has also been established to facilitate people all over the country and contribute to the flood relief efforts. Excellencies, but as it is evident, this disaster is colossal in its scale and devastation. It has severely strained, even overwhelmed, both our resources and our capacity. It has left millions vulnerable to health emergencies and a critical lack of basic survival needs. The gap between such needs and the capacity to deliver with speed and scale is crucial at this point. It requires urgent cooperation and support from the international community. We are profoundly grateful for the initial round of spontaneous solidarity and support from so many of our friends and partners around the world. I would like to acknowledge and thank all our friends for the prompt financial support and relief assistance being provided by several countries as well as the United Nations, World Bank, and Asian Development Bank. We are especially grateful to the United Nations resident coordinator and his team for the excellent support that has been extended to us since the onset of this calamity. We need to expand and scale up these efforts and response. For that, we are launching the UN Flash Appeal for Pakistan Flood Response Plan 2022 today. The appeal prioritizes focused interventions in areas of education, food security, agriculture, health, nutrition, protection, shelter, and non-food items, water, sanitation, and hygiene. We also need assistance with livelihoods and livestock support, as well as relief, machinery, and equipment. We urgently need shelter and tents and mosquito nets, if they can be arranged and transported. This appeal is expected to address only part of the overall requirements and will therefore complement the broader effort. I would like to urge the international community to give its full backing to the Flash Appeal to help the people of Pakistan most in need. I hope our partners would appreciate that given the urgent requirements of this catastrophe and the compounded burden on our economy, the humanitarian assistance being offered does not cut into the already committed development assistance. Beyond the immediate rescue and relief efforts, we would need support for rehabilitation and reconstruction of the flood-affected areas. I encourage you to contribute generously towards meeting the funding requirements of this response plan and going beyond. We believe that the efforts of the United Nations will be boosted by swift offers and announcements of support from your countries. Excellencies, the calamity we are facing is a clear manifestation of the direct and unmitigated consequences of climate change. As one of the smallest emitters on the planet, less than 1% of greenhouse gases. In fact, Pakistan is in the front line of the devastation caused by global warming. This mega flood has once again made us acutely aware of our vulnerability to recurring climate shocks. Such episodes are becoming all too frequent and increasingly more devastating. I hope you will agree that both the spirit of climate justice as well as humanitarian assistance, the international community needs to step up and share the burden with those most affected and impacted by rapidly changing climate and weather patterns. Your full support and solidarity with the people of Pakistan at this time would go a long way to alleviating their suffering and in helping to rebuild their lives, resilience, and communities. I thank you and look forward to working with all of you to build back better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
वज़ीर ख़ारजा बिला
.2 million people with food, water, sanitation, emergency education, protection and health support. Dear friends, South Asia is one of the world's global climate crisis hotspots. People living in these hotspots are 15 times more likely to die from climate impacts. As we continue to see more and more extreme weather events around the world, it is outrageous that climate action is being put on the back burner as global emissions of greenhouse gases are still rising, putting all of us, everywhere, in growing danger. The government of Pakistan has asked for the international community's help. Let us work together to respond quickly and collaboratively to this colossal crisis. Let us all step up in solidarity and support to the people of Pakistan in their hour of need. Let's stop sleepwalking towards the destruction of our planet by climate change. Today, it is Pakistan. Tomorrow, it could be your country. Thank you.
I would now like to invite the Minister for Planning, Development and Special Initiatives, Mr. Ahsan Iqbal, for his remarks. He is the chairperson of the Relief Coordination Committee established by the Prime Minister of Pakistan in the wake of the recent devastating floods. Over to you, sir.
Honorable Foreign Minister, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Chairman, NDMA, distinguished delegates, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank on my own behalf and on behalf of the people of Pakistan, the international community and the development partners for the concern and support they have always extended and for their involvement in assisting Pakistan during present times of need. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, Pakistan is currently facing the horrors of climate change with unprecedented, devastating flash floods and hill torrents, which have washed away roads, homes, and crops and communities, leaving a trail of deadly havoc across Pakistan. The damage is of unimaginable proportions. More than 1,100 people have died since the monsoon season began in June this year. Literally 1/3 of Pakistan is underwater, which has exceeded every boundary, every norm we have seen in the past. Initial estimates suggest that more than 33 million people have been affected by the historic flooding. Heavy waters in the country have swept away bridges and roads, schools and hospitals, railway track, critical telecommunication infrastructure cutting off communities. Thousands of people living in the mountainous areas have been evacuated, but authorities are still struggling to reach those who are trapped. Those who managed to escape have been crowded into one of the many makeshift camps across the country. Almost half of the country's cotton crop has been washed away, and vegetable, fruit, and rice fields have sustained significant damage, posing serious challenges to the food security. There is growing concern about the looming cost of building back from this disaster, as the preliminary estimates are higher than $10 billion. The government is looking for assistance from aid agencies, friendly countries, and international donors. Ladies and gentlemen, the government of Pakistan's strategy for tackling the flood-affected areas is three-pronged: rescue and relief, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. The UN, due to its vast experience in emergency response, is leading the relief phase in consultation with NDMA and provincial governments. UN Humanitarian Coordinator has initiated the process of triggering a UN flash appeal, which we believe will go a long way in accelerating our effort to take care of the relief phase in shortest possible time. We are very grateful to the UN resident country coordinator who has extensively traveled through these areas and has extended full support in making this flash appeal possible in shortest time. For the rehabilitation and reconstruction phase, the World Bank is preparing to undertake a World Bank and Asian Development Bank are preparing to undertake a damage needs assessment study. This is a time-consuming exercise, and the results shall be shared with the donor community in due course of time. As said earlier, the magnitude of the crisis is increasing with the passage of time. Accordingly, the government of Pakistan would like to seek the support from the donor community, both for the ongoing relief efforts and for the rebuilding process. Pakistan looks forward to a positive and visible response from the international community in this regard. And may I also say that Pakistan has also initiated an initiative for building a resilient infrastructure to face the challenges of climate change at UN level platform. And we do hope that international community will realize that this is, as the Secretary General said, that this is Pakistan today, it can be any other country tomorrow. We all have to join hands in order to fight the effects of climate change and make the world a safer place for everyone living on this planet. Thank you very much.
I thank you, sir. I now invite the UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Pakistan, Mr. Julian Harnais, to please share his views with us.
Thank you. Foreign Minister, Minister Panning, Madam Minister, Chairman NDMA, Ministers, Chief Minister, Ambassadors, friends. Like many of you, Foreign Minister, Chief Minister of Sindh, Chairman, I spent the last week in the districts of Pakistan, Baluchistan and Sindh. The scale of the catastrophe is beyond my comprehension. We were going through kilometre after kilometre through central Sindh, where all you could see was villages on the move. And I literally saw tens of thousands of people just packing up what little they have, throwing it into trucks or just parking it by the side of the road, and trying to find a dry place to put their village. Piles of charpoys, mattresses in the rain. Thousands of people, parents, children, just looking around and going, what happens now? How am I going to protect my child from getting sick? What am I going to eat? Where am I going to find water? Where will I sleep tonight? And this all across Sindh and much of Baluchistan. And their hands were stretched out, asking for help. our help, your help. Now's our time. This is all the result of climate change. Now, climate change is a polite way of saying the unwanted consequence of the industrialization of our planet. This is an internationally driven problem, and therefore it is only right that part of the solution comes from us. I also saw good things. I saw the government out there. I saw deputy commissioners pulling together their people across the country. Ministers out in their constituencies doing everything they could to bring together their people. The first distributions of bits, people receiving their little messages saying that, come in for the assistance. These are all good things. Most touchingly of all was the generosity of the people of Pakistan. All levels, be it rich, poor, they were all reaching into their pocket, giving out to those of their fellow citizens who needed most. And we need to do the same. So now's the time for the international community to step up next to the people of Pakistan. Climate change-driven catastrophe demands international solidarity. The United Agencies funds and programs, well, we started responding, so did the non-governmental organizations, both national and international. But we are limited by the financial resources available to us. This flash appeal will help to correct that. The flash appeal will build upon solid foundations. Since the last superfloods of 2010, which were not of the scale of this one, the government, with your support, has built strong foundations. The Benazir Income Support Programme, at a press of a button, can distribute money to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. That didn't exist back then. We've strengthened National Disaster Management Aid Authority and the PDMAs and the DDMAs across the country. There's a network of humanitarian response facilities that can be used to build a strong response. That didn't exist in 2010. So we're building upon strong foundations. Our international humanitarian appeal for the United Nations and non-governmental organizations will build upon that strong foundation. We will contribute to the work of the government, and our assistance will be under the guidance and the cooperation of the National Disaster Management Authority and the Provincial Disaster Management Authorities. I'm very grateful to the assistance of member states and even private citizens in developed countries who've given for this response. Thank you. I'm asking you to do more because it's the right thing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harnais. I now request the Chairman of the National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, Lieutenant General Akhtar Nawaz, to give us an overview of the flood situation in the country. Please, sir.
Honorable Foreign Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon. The presentation that I'm going to make is based on a PowerPoint. It's more technical in nature to make you understand the impact, the losses, and what are, the needs. I would draw your attention to the very first page of the presentation, which actually sets stay on to previous one, which actually, talks about the climate change and ultimately, its outcome. Next, please. Yeah, if you look at this slide, we lost this spring this year, 2022. We moved directly from winter to the summers. That was followed by 4 heat waves, and where we faced forest fires, and our large tracts of the forest remained on fire for weeks. We were followed with the drought warnings, and this is exactly where the United Nations community here in Pakistan, along with NDMA and all other stakeholders, started talking about and worrying about what is going to come as an outcome of this drought. But then came, what we faced, the early and unprecedented monsoon with very horrific consequences. Next, please. Yeah. What we had thought about, our meteorological department, they thought that at the time based on their assessment and studies, the monsoon rains are going to be slightly above normal. And once they said slightly above normal, it meant 25 to 30% above normal. Next, please. Based on, this assessment, through the effort with all stakeholders, that is the provincial disaster management authorities, the federal agencies, the UN offices and systems here, the humanitarian organizations, we carved out a contingency plan for the monsoon 2022 and issued this plan on 12th of May. This was immediately followed by an exercise, simulation exercise, jointly conducted by United Nations and the National Disaster Management Authority, where all the stakeholders relevant to the disaster management participated overwhelmingly. Next, please. Coming on to what happened after having gone through, the estimates that we had forecasted. Contrarily, this is what we got. Overall, in Pakistan, 186% more rainfall compared to 30 years normal average. The Sindh got the highest, 466%, followed by the Balochistan. Even all other provinces and regions are also above the normal average of 30 years. Next, please. This is a very instructive slide, and I would like to explain it in a bit more detail. Our traditional monsoon areas lie in the north of the country. These are into the Azad Jammu and Kashmir, northern and central parts of Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, eastern portions of Balochistan, and the northern parts of Sindh. This time, instead of going to the traditional areas, the monsoon actually first hit us in the first two spells into the province of Balochistan and South Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, including the two districts of Diyai Khan and Tang, followed by a massive, build-up of the rain in the next three spells into Sindh, and then moving up north, the last spell towards northern part, including, Azad Kashmir, KP, northern Punjab, and Gilgit-Baltistan. If you look at, this slide, this explains how much the rainwater has come down from the skies directly into various areas, coupled with the flash floods, hill torrents, leading to urban flooding. This is something we had never thought of and we had never experienced, and that is where, the challenge lies. Next, please. Yeah. As an outcome of all this rainfall and what we got as an outcome of the climate change, today 72 of our districts, 221 of our tehsils, and 6,597 of the union councils have been formally declared as the calamity hit by the provincial governments. And the number is likely to increase as we speak because the calamity continues. Next. I would just draw your attention to these couple of slides from the SUPACO, our satellite producing agency. If you look at the left cut, it is of 11th of August. And if you look at it over here, it is of 23rd of August. Draw the comparison how this was on 11th and how this is. This all indicates the total inundation. Next, please. If you look at the second one, this is where the river Indus moves, and this is the Larkana. The complete district has been inundated. Next. If we talk of the numbers, more than 2 million acres of the agricultural land, 33 million population, 5,127 people rescued, and the persons in the camps are near 500,000. Next, please. The brunt, the casualties in terms of the deaths as well as in terms of injuries, the figure has crossed 1,100 in case of deaths and 1,600 in case of injuries. The brunt has been borne by the vulnerable, that is the women, children, and the elderly. This is likely to increase due to massive inundation, where the houses are coming down and people are still facing the challenges to the survival and life. Next, please. If you look at this slide, this speaks of, the infrastructural damages and also the loss of livestock. The most critical out of these are the bridges on our critical arteries and roads, the damages to the houses in a very, very large number, and this is unfortunately likely to increase. And also the loss, massive loss of the livestock. Next, please. Once we speak, our two major water retaining structures, that is the Tarbela Dam and Mangla Dam. The Tarbela Dam has gone to its full capacity, whereas Mangla Dam, which used to be filled by this time, is still vacant by around 53%. And the reason is that its catchment areas, traditional monsoon areas, didn't receive the rainfall. Next, please. As we speak, this is what is the condition of our various rivers running down from north to the south. We are still having, high floods, medium floods in certain, and a very high flood at Nowshera. But however, the situation is not very, it's under control. There is nothing to worry much at the moment. We are grappling with this situation that is being faced here. Next, please. I'll just, show you some of the videos, very selected one, to just highlight how difficult and, tough it was. Can we have the video? This is from the Lower Deel, and you will see how our communication infrastructure is being washed away. This one from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in Shamla. This one is again, one of the earthworks that got washed away. Next one, you will see how the infrastructure, the buildings have been washed away. Can we go to this one? This is Azad Jammu and Kashmir. And the Balochistan, the Bolan area. This one in the Lasbela near Karachi, a part of Tonsa Barrage, Islamabad. Next is, if you look at the complex of the houses, this is how thousands of houses and complexes are inundated in the province of Sindh as well as in Balochistan. If you look at, this is the Lasbela, how the people are, finding the safety wading through the gushing water. This is where the people are being helped out to the safety. Next. As we speak, the people are being, taken out from the inundated areas. This is what, was in the Karachi area. Look at, the people really stranded in the mid of, these running streams. Next. This is what is, the condition as we pull them out, put them to some kind of temporary shelters. If you look at, the infrastructure, the massive damage to the critical infrastructure all across the country. This is where, the vulnerable group that I was talking about, stays. Next. This is a very critical, the infrastructure that we are losing, and this is the extent of the damage. It will take a lot of time and massive, finances to rebuild. Next, please. Coming on to, the response by the federal government, the provincial governments, rescue relief by civil administration, disaster management authorities, duly supported by the armed forces, even the civil society, the humanitarian organization, continues as we speak. A committee has been established at the federal level, which is headed by Mr. Ahsan Iqbal, the chairman of the committee. He's the Minister for Planning and Development. There are a couple of other ministers who are guiding and coordinating the rescue and relief effort. The emergency has been declared at the national level. Army has been requisitioned to carry out, the relief and rescue operations in support of the disaster management agencies. There has been an enhancement of the compensation package. I'll not go into the detail. That has already been partly covered. Next. Benazir Income Support Program, one of the best social protection program, is already rolling out at a very fast speed into all provinces. NDMA carried out a rapid need assessment and shared this one with our Ministry of EAD so as to share it with the donors, and that has already been done, and they are working fast pace on it. There was a donor conference, a number of them actually, in the Ministry of EAD, as well as, headed by the Prime Minister. A joint survey by the provincial disaster management authorities, duly supported and assisted by NDMA and the Army, has already taken off in the province of Balochistan, and it will go on to the other provinces as well. Next, please. Coming on to the relief assistance, so far the relief assistance that has already reached to the flood affectees is as flashed. As we speak, more and more is pouring in because the need is so high, and it is so deficient, so less for us to give them the requisite the relief effort. Next, please. As we speak, the rescue and relief continues. The people are being pulled out, provided with the medical facilities, with the shelter. Next. Humanitarian organizations are also moving in and trying to help out. Next. If you look at these pictures, there are so many humanitarian organizations at their own that they are moving in, being coordinated by provincial disaster management authorities at province, as well as district, as well as the National Disaster Management Authority at the national level. Next. Wherever it is we find some space, the tent villages are being set up, the medical is being afforded, and also the food parcels are being distributed. Next. Next, please. Still, the people are being brought to the safety using all kind of expedients, boats, etc. Next. As we speak, we have massive effort of the aerial lift capability. The Pakistan Air Force, Pakistan Army, Navy have put their all aircrafts available to do the rescue and relief operations. Next. Coming on to the last slide, what is the immediate and critical need? Already the earlier speakers have mentioned about it. These include the shelters and tents, food security, including the nutrition for the children and for lactating women, health support, water and sanitation, support for the livestock, and of course, once we move out of it, reconstruction and rehabilitation. I thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for patient hearing.
Thank you very much, sir. I would now like to hand over the floor to Mr. Ramesh Rajasingham, the head and representative of the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs in Geneva and the director of the Coordination Division of OCHA. He will now conduct the proceedings in Geneva.
Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, distinguished delegates and colleagues, we have just heard from our distinguished speakers from Islamabad on the enormous impact of floods and the priority needs and in response to the requirements of the Pakistan flood response plan. Here in Geneva, I am joined on the podium by His Excellency Ambassador Khalil Hashmi, Permanent Representative of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan to the United Nations Office and other international organizations in Geneva, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Mr. Filippo Grandi, the Under-Secretary General for National Society Development and Operations Coordination of the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, Mr. Javier Castellanos Mosquera. And in this room, we have with us also representatives of member states and partner agencies and organizations who will have a chance to contribute to our discussions if they so wish to do so. I would now like to hand the floor to His Excellency Ambassador Khalid Hashmi.
Thank you, Ramesh. Honorable Foreign Minister, Minister for Planning and Minister of State Foreign Affairs of Pakistan, Chairman National Disaster Management Authority, Pakistan, Mr. Julian Harness, UN Coordinator, UN Resident Coordinator in Islamabad, High Commissioner Filippo Grandi here in Geneva, Under Secretary General for IFRC, Director OCHA, Ramesh, thank you so much. I want to begin by thanking you all here in Geneva for making the time and for attending this briefing. On behalf of the Pakistan Mission in Geneva, I would like to echo our gratitude to the UN country team in Islamabad and OCHA office in Geneva. Thank you so much for all your support in putting this briefing together. We've just heard the overview of the unprecedented calamity and catastrophe, its human impact, the damage and needs assessment. And as the Secretary General said, Pakistan has had the monsoon on steroids. So I wouldn't want to go into those details. I just wanted to make a few points. From Geneva's vantage point, all that we work on a daily basis here has been deeply affected in Pakistan, ranging from people's access to food, safe housing, work, education, telecommunications, infrastructure, the environment, and human displacement on a massive scale. What has happened is more than just a humanitarian crisis, and today's appeal in many ways is a call to action. Just in the past few years, floods have hit almost all regions globally, from floods in Germany and Belgium in the same time period last year to the recent floods in Sudan, Australia, and the United States, all of which have claimed precious human lives and caused extensive damage. In almost all these cases, these extreme floods have been preceded by extreme heat waves. The pattern is clear here. The scientific evidence points to one fact, that climate change has exacerbated these extreme weather events. The rains in Pakistan this year have been around 90% heavier than the average downpour. Developing countries have been trying to balance their climate commitments and development needs for a long time now. However, one such calamity erodes years of work. Our common future will be determined by what we do. It is clear that none of us can afford to delay actions that are critical to our survival or wait until disasters arrive at our doorsteps. An early and meaningful action, collective action on climate change is therefore indispensable. In terms of the appeal and follow-up, Pakistan Mission in Geneva remains at your disposal for any additional information or clarification. I want to once again thank you all for your presence here today. Over to you, Ramesh.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Hashmi, for your remarks. Allow me to now invite UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Mr. Filippo Grandi, for his remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramesh. Honorable Ministers, Resident Coordinator, Ambassador Dia Khalil, colleagues, thank you very much for convening this urgent meeting, urgent in so many ways, as we have heard, to draw the world's attention to the plight of millions of lives devastated, as we have seen, by these catastrophic floods. And our solidarity and condolences go to all those affected and to the government and the people of Pakistan. Today, the international community, including my own organization, must respond generously to the appeal of the government of Pakistan and help the people in need. We urgently need more global and concrete support for Pakistan and its people. Like our sister United Nations agencies and other humanitarian organizations, UNHCR is participating in the relief efforts as part of a collective response to support the authorities to provide assistance to more than 30 million people who have been affected, including the hundreds of thousands who have been displaced by floods, as we saw in the chilling statistics presented by the National Disaster Management Authority. Those affected, by the way, include also many of the approximately 3 million registered Afghan refugees and other Afghan people that Pakistan has hosted generously for many decades. Under the leadership of the government, UNHCR has already provided more than 71,000 emergency relief items in the worst hit areas of Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa provinces, and redirected supplies to respond to the government's urgent appeal for more assistance. And to mitigate the ongoing effects of this climate emergency, and once again alongside with many other agencies, we have delivered supplies to help households build up defenses around their homes. And this assistance has helped villages, Pakistani villages, refugee villages, in mitigating the effects. But much more, of course, is needed. And I would like to join previous speakers in encouraging all donors here today to fund the flash appeal and the UN's ongoing programs in the country, and to help the government and the people of Pakistan as they respond and rebuild. And I hope and trust, like the Secretary General said, and like Ambassador Hashmi just said, that this terrible tragedy will also be an opportunity to accelerate the increasingly urgent measures that we must take, at least to mitigate the effects of the climate emergency globally, including, as we witness in Pakistan today, tragically, widespread loss of lives, livelihoods, property, and infrastructure, and large forced human displacement. We have said it so many times, dear friends, we're running out of time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grandi, for your remarks. And allow me now to invite Under Secretary General of the IFRC, Mr. Javier Castellanos Mosquera, to present his remarks.
Thank you very much, honorable ministers, your excellencies, Mr. Ambassador, and members of the table here present, and colleagues, in these catastrophic moments where the lives of millions of people right now depend on the work that the government of Pakistan is doing, but also on the solidarity that can be represented in this important humanitarian crisis. I would like also to highlight our recognition to the UN level of coordination that is happening in Pakistan, which is also remarkable, and is allowed a proper platform for such activities in terms of the coordination, that this is possible thanks to the support of the government of Pakistan. Similarly, to allow the Pakistan Red Crescent Society to deliver humanitarian services through the support of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. In July this year, we activate the Disaster Response Emergency Fund for Pakistan Red Crescent Society in order to respond in 15 districts. In August this year, we expanded the Disaster Response Emergency Fund because of the situation, and just 5 days ago, we put 1 million Swiss francs for the initial response using the Disaster Response Emergency Fund. This has allowed us, to the moment, to reach to 34,000 people affected. All the pre-positioning stock in order to provide humanitarian services to people in need. On Sunday, we launched as the IFRC an emergency appeal for 26 million Swiss francs in order to multiply by 10 the number of people that we would like to support in coordination with the government, in coordination and complementarity with the UN efforts. The IFRC is in coordination with the government, in coordination and complementarity with the UN efforts. The IFRC is expecting that will reach to 35 districts in Pakistan. So double the amount of districts that we are already working through the Pakistan Red Crescent Society, and focus on key priorities. The first one is on integrated assistance that incorporate livelihood support, multi-purpose cash, and shelter in this current context that will happen the winter, and this will demand tremendous needs with the people affected in Pakistan. The second one is about the health and care and water and sanitation. This has included mobile health clinics that are being operating already. 6 of those. Our intention is to double the number of mobile health clinics in order to guarantee that health access is provided to the people affected, and at the same time water sanitation that includes water plants and hygiene kits and solutions related to water in order to prevent additional challenges related to waterborne diseases. And finally, the third priority is around protection. And within the protection, we are addressing community engagement and accountability as a key component, gender protection, gender and inclusion, psychological support, the dignity kits and spaces for people affected by this crisis. All of these initiatives have been fully coordinated with the government of Pakistan, with the Pakistan Red Crescent Society, and with the UN agencies in order to ensure complementarity, as I mentioned before. Therefore, supporting these emergency appeals are going to be of extreme help in order to be able to continue providing services to the people right now affected by these floods. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Castano, for your remarks. And I would now like to open the floor for statements and remarks, as well as any questions and comments that you have for colleagues and their excellencies and representatives that may be here in this room in Geneva. If you could please put up your card to indicate your desire. Thanks. I would like to ask the representative of Turkey to take the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I would like to greet all honorable ministers, as well as Mr. Grandi and Under Secretary, and yourself, Mr. Ramesh. And of course, Turkey and Pakistan enjoy deep-rooted historical and cultural ties, which stand the test of time. Pakistan holds a unique place in the hearts of Turkish people, and we are deeply saddened that the severe flood disasters which claimed the lives of many Pakistani brothers and sisters. We wish again Allah's mercy upon those who lost their lives, convey our condolences to the friendly and brotherly government and people of Pakistan, with speedy recovery to the injured. We would like to inform that Turkey has immediately started its operations to extend the emergency relief to the Pakistani brothers and sisters who have been affected by the flood disasters. So far, 4 planes have been dispatched to Karachi carrying humanitarian aid. Experts from our disaster agency, AFAD, are currently on the ground working with Pakistani officials to distribute the aid and support efforts of our Pakistani brothers. AFAD aims to deliver 100,000 tents and 500,000 food parcels in total to the regions affected by the flood. Turkish Red Crescent Society is working closely with the Pakistani Red Crescent as well and delivering food to those regions in need. We are planning to send more planes in the next hours, and our officials are working on expanding the ways to transfer further aid to the country, including rail. We think that the international community and all UN agencies should increase its support to Pakistan in these difficult days. In this regard, the response plan will be prepared by Pakistan and other stakeholders, will be instrumental in mobilizing the support in the most efficient and effective way. Turkey and its well-experienced institutions will be at the disposal of UN agencies and member countries' aid efforts to Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the representative of Turkey for his remarks. I would now like to give the floor to the representative of the King of Saudi Arabia.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Excellency, for your comprehensive briefing. First of all, I would like to express my condolence and sympathy to the government of Islamic Republic of Pakistan and its people on the victims of floods that swept a number of regions in the country. I wish for protection of the Republic of Pakistan and its brotherly people and a speedy recovery for the injured and those missing would survive. We feel the difficulty of the tragic conditions on the Republic of Pakistan due to the recent flood. In this regard, I would like to express our solidarity with the brotherly Republic of Pakistan and will continue our support in terms of the humanitarian relief and development project within the framework of distinguished brotherly relations that link the two countries, and the Kingdom's permanent support for the Republic of Pakistan at all times and circumstances, especially in this context, for the people affected by the floods that caused a massive loss of life in the different regions in Pakistan. Also, I would like to inform you that related authorities in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia are currently working on revising the needs and assistance to the humanitarian situation in the areas affected in the floods in order to provide appropriate support and response to the brothers in the Republic of Pakistan, which made the responsibility upon the international community to provide urgent aids to the Republic of Pakistan and to stand by to pass devastating disasters. Thank you all.
I would like to thank the representative of Saudi Arabia for his remarks. I would now like to give the floor to the representative of Qatar.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, I would like to express the state of Qatar's full solidarity with the Pakistani people and government facing the devastations of the floods and torrential rains that recently affected the country. We wholeheartedly express our sincere condolences and sympathy.
संभलने को तैयार। IMF इजलास का एलामिया जारी, $1.1 अरब किस्त की मंजूरी दे दी गई। IMF का एलामिया के मुताबिक IMF प्रोग्राम के तहत 7वां और ये इकदाम किए। हाल ही में मंजूर करदा बजट पर अमल दरामद तरजीह होनी चाहिए। IMF پروگرام کی بحالی معیشت کے لیے اہم ہے، لیکن یہ منزل نہیں، مرحلہ ہے جو ملک کو معاشی بحالی کے راستے کی طرف لے کر جائے گا۔ وزیر اعظم شہباز شریف کا ٹویٹ، لکھتے ہیں معاشی خود انحصاری کے لیے ہمیں دن رات محنت کرنا ہوگی۔ پاکستان کو معاشی زنجیروں کے چنگل سے نجات حاصل کرنا ہوگی، جس کا واحد راستہ ڈھانچہ جاتی اصلاحات ہیں۔ IMF پروگرام کی مدت اور قرض میں توسیع، اسحاق ڈار کی وزیر خزانہ مفتاح اسماعیل کو مبارکباد، بولے ایگزیکٹو بورڈ کی منظوری ہو گئی، رقم کچھ دنوں میں رقم بڑھا دی جائے۔
وزیر اعظم شہباز شریف صاحب کی کمٹمنٹ ہے کہ ہم اپنے اخراجات میں کٹوتی کریں اور جتنے زیادہ سے زیادہ وسائل سیلاب زدگان کی مدد کے لیے ہم مہیا کر سکتے ہیں وہ مہیا کریں۔ ہم پاکستان کا جو ترقیاتی بجٹ ہے اس کا بھی جائزہ لے رہے ہیں، فلڈ ریہیبلیٹیشن اور ریکنسٹرکشن میں ڈائیورٹ کر سکتے ہیں، انہیں ہم کریں گے۔
جو کیا وہ شرمناک اور قابل مذمت ہے۔ IMF کا قرضہ منظور ہوا ہے، کوئی جیک پاٹ نہیں لگا، اس قرض کی واپسی قوم نے کرنی ہے۔ 20 سے زیادہ مرتبہ لیے جانے والے قرض پر جسے قوم نے ادا کرنا ہے۔ وزراء شادیانے بجا رہے ہیں۔ عوامی مسلم لیگ کے سربراہ شیخ رشید احمد کی ٹویٹ۔ بلوچستان میں سیلاب کی تباہ کاریاں جاری، مزید 2 افراد جاں بحق، اموات کی تعداد 250 تک جا پہنچی۔ سب سے زیادہ 27 ہلاکتیں کوئٹہ میں ہوئی۔ صوبے میں بارشوں کے دوران مختلف حادثات میں 110 افراد زخمی ہوئے۔ اقوام متحدہ کی پاکستان کے لیے $160 ملین امداد کی اپیل، مہاجرین کی میزبانی کرنے والے ملک پاکستان کو مشکلات کا سامنا ہے۔ سیکرٹری جنرل اقوام متحدہ کا پاکستان میں سیلاب کی صورتحال پر خطاب، اینٹونیو گوتریس کا کہنا تھا کہ پاکستان میں سیلاب اور بارشوں سے ہونے والی تباہی پر رنجیدہ ہیں۔ سیلاب متاثرین کی بحالی کے لیے پاکستان کو امداد کی ضرورت ہے۔
72 districts have been declared calamity hit. Over 33 million people have been affected, which is the size of a small country. More than 1,100, including women and children, have lost their lives, and many more are injured. Livelihoods are severely impacted with the loss of livestock, not to mention crop losses, among other crucial sources of sustenance. Lack of access to food, clean water, shelter, and basic healthcare is making life harder for them with each passing day.
پاکستان میں سیلاب سے جو تباہ کاری ہوئی ناقابل بیان ہے۔ بدقسمتی سے سیلاب سے جہاں مواصلاتی نظام درہم برہم ہوا، وہاں فصلیں بھی تباہ ہوئیں۔ وزیر خارجہ بلاول بھٹو کا تقریب سے خطاب، کہا سیلاب متاثرین کو فوری طور خیموں اور مچھردانیوں کی ضرورت ہے۔ پاکستان کو عالمی برادری کی مدد کی ضرورت ہے۔ دریائے سندھ میں چاچڑا شریف کے مقام پر اونچے درجے کا سیلاب، 100 سے زیادہ دیہات اور فصلیں زیر آب آ گئی، متعدد مکانات گر گئے۔ سیلابی صورتحال کے باعث حفاظتی بندوں کی مرمت کا کام جاری۔ ضلعی انتظامیہ کا کہنا ہے کہ سیلاب سے مزید دیہات متاثر ہو سکتے ہیں، مزید بستیاں اور دیہات خالی کرانے کے لیے اعلانات کیے جا رہے ہیں۔ پاک فوج کا فنڈ ریسکیو اینڈ ریلیف آپریشن جاری، آرمی چیف متاثرہ علاقوں کے دورے پر سوات پہنچ گئے۔ آرمی چیف کمراٹ کلام اور گردنواہ میں پھنسے افراد کے انخلاء کا جائزہ لیں گے۔ آرمی چیف علاقے میں جاری امدادی کارروائیوں پر بریفنگ بھی لیں گے۔ بھوک پیاس کے ستائے بے یارو مددگار، سیلاب متاثرین نے ڈیرہ مراد جمالی میں امدادی ٹرکوں پر دھاوا بول دیا۔ انتظامیہ کے مطابق امدادی سامان ضلعی انتظامیہ کی جانب سے تقسیم کے لیے لایا گیا تھا۔ सैलाबी रेलों ने रेल का पहिया एक बार फिर जाम कर दिया। 15 रोज के लिए ट्रेन सर्विस बहाल न होने का इम्कान। रेलवे हुकाम के मुताबिक रेलवे लाइंस की मुकम्मल मुरम्मत में 3 माह लग सकते हैं। वजीर आला पंजाब परवेज इलाही ने अपना हेलीकॉप्टर रिलीफ कामों के लिए वक्फ कर दिया। काबीना का 1 माह की तनख्वाह भी रिलीफ कैंप में देने का ऐलान। चौधरी परवेज इलाही का कहना था कि मुश्किल घड़ी में दीगर दूसरे सूबों के भी साथ खड़े हैं। घरों, फसलों और लाइव स्टॉक के नुकसान का इजाला करेंगे। हर हकदार को उसका हक दिया जाएगा। रियासत इमरान खान पर कोई भी मनफी लेबल लगाए, पाकिस्तानियों को उन पर मुकम्मल एतमाद है। शीरी मजारी का ट्वीट। लिखती हैं, जब लोग आप पर भरोसा करते हैं तो ही वो अतिया करते हैं। सिर्फ 3 घंटे में इमरान खान की टेलीथॉन ने सैलाब मुतासरीन के लिए 5 अरब रुपए का अतिया जमा किया। रियासत इमरान खान पर कोई भी मनफी लेबल लगा सकती है, लेकिन अंदरून और बैरून मुल्क पाकिस्तानी इन पर मुकम्मल एतमाद करते हैं। पाकिस्तान में सैलाब की तबाही के बाद सब्जियों का फुकदान, कीमतें आसमान तक पहुंच गईं। पाकिस्तान का ईरान और अफगानिस्तान पर प्याज और टमाटर दरामद करने का फैसला। वजारत तिजारत ने दरामदात की समरी तैयार कर ली। समरी मंजूरी के लिए फौरी तौर पर इक्तसादी राब्ता कमेटी को भिजवाने का फैसला। भारतीय वजीर आजम का पाकिस्तान में सैलाब से होने वाली तबाही पर अफसोस का इजहार। नरेंद्र मोदी ने ट्वीट पैगाम में कहा कि कुदरती आफत से मुतासिर होने वाले सैलाब मुतासरीन के अहले खाना से दिली ताज़ियत का इजहार करते हैं। उन्होंने उम्मीद जाहिर की कि पाकिस्तान में जल्द सब कुछ मामूल पर आ जाएगा। अदारों के खिलाफ बयान और बगावत पर उकसाने का केस। शहबाज गिल की जमानत की दरख्वास्त मुस्तरद। अदालत ने गुज़श्ता रोज दरख्वास्त पर फरीकैन के दलाइल के बाद फैसला महफूज कर लिया। भारत के बाद अफगानिस्तान भी रूस से मॉस्को में मौजूद तर्जुमान के मुताबिक अफगान वफ्द गंदम, गैस और पेट्रोल की फराहमी के मुआहदों को हतमी शक्ल दे रहा है। और क्रिकेट और शाहीन शाह अफरीदी के फैंस के लिए अच्छी खबर। शाहीन शाह अफरीदी की बेहतरी के लिए उन्हें लंदन भेजवाने का फैसला। चीफ मेडिकल ऑफिसर शाहीन अफरीदी की जल्द रिकवरी के लिए पूरी उम्मीद। बोले, उम्मीद है शाहीन शाह ICC T20 वर्ल्ड कप से कबल मुकम्मल फिटनेस हासिल कर लेंगे। अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मैं हूं खिज़र। हेडलाइंस आपने जानी। बुलेटिन का आगाज़ करते हैं। आपको बताएं, मईशत की दीवार संभलने को तैयार। IMF इजलास का एलामिया जारी। $1.1 अरब की किस्त मंजूरी दे दी गई। IMF एलामिया के मुताबिक IFF प्रोग्राम के तहत 7वां और 8वां इक्तिसादी जायज़ा मुकम्मल कर लिया गया। हुकूमत पाकिस्तान ने माली बैरूनी हालात बेहतर करने के लिए इकदामात किए। हाल ही में मंजूर करदा बजट पर अमल दरामद तरजीह होनी चाहिए। मईशत की दीवार संभलने को तैयार। IMF इजलास का एलामिया जारी। $1.1 अरब की किस्त मंजूरी दे दी गई। IMF प्रोग्राम के मुताबिक IFF प्रोग्राम के तहत 7वां और 8वां इक्तिसादी जायज़ा मुकम्मल कर लिया गया। हुकूमत पाकिस्तान ने माली बैरूनी हालात बेहतर करने के लिए इकदामात किए। हाल ही में मंजूर करदा बजट पर अमल दरामद तरजीह होनी चाहिए। एक मिनट। IMF प्रोग्राम की बहाली मईशत के लिए अहम है, लेकिन ये मंजिल नहीं, मरहला है जो मुल्क को माशी बहाली के रास्ते की तरफ लेकर जाएगा। वज़ीर आज़म शहबाज शरीफ का ट्वीट। लिखते हैं, माशी खुद इन्हसारी के लिए हमें दिन रात मेहनत करना होगी। पाकिस्तान को माशी जंजीरों के चंगल से निजात हासिल करना होगी, जिसका वाहिद रास्ता ढांचा जाती इस्लाहात हैं। IMF प्रोग्राम की बहाली मईशत के लिए अहम है, लेकिन ये मंजिल नहीं, मरहला है जो मुल्क को माशी बहाली के रास्ते की तरफ लेकर जाएगा। वज़ीर आज़म शहबाज शरीफ का ट्वीट। लिखते हैं, माशी खुद इंसारी के लिए हमें दिन रात मेहनत करना होगी। पाकिस्तान को माशी जंजीरों के चंगल से निजात हासिल करना होगी, जिसका वाहिद रास्ता ढांचा जाती इस्लाहात हैं। IMF प्रोग्राम की बहाली मईशत के लिए अहम है, लेकिन ये मंजिल नहीं, मरहला है जो मुल्क को माशी हालात के रास्ते की तरफ लेकर जाएगा। वज़ीर आज़म शहबाज शरीफ का ट्वीट। लिखते हैं, माशी खुद इन्हसारी के लिए हमें दिन रात मेहनत करना होगी। पाकिस्तान को माशी जंजीरों के चंगल से निजात हासिल करना होगी, जिसका वाहिद रास्ता ढांचा जाती इस्लाहात हैं। IMF प्रोग्राम की मुद्दत और कर्ज में तोसी। इसहाक डार की वजीर खजाना मिफ्ता इस्माइल को मुबारकबाद। बोले, एग्जीक्यूटिव बोर्ड की मंजूरी हो गई, रकम कुछ दिनों में रिलीज हो जाएगी। स्टाफ का लेवल एग्जीक्यूटिव एग्रीमेंट पहले हो चुका था। अगले साल जून तक तकरीबन $950 बिलियन की रकम बढ़ा दी है। IMF प्रोग्राम की मुद्दत और कर्ज में तोसी। इसहाक डार की वजीर खजाना मिफ्ता इस्माइल को मुबारकबाद। बोले, एग्जीक्यूटिव बोर्ड की मंजूरी हो गई है, रकम कुछ दिनों में रिलीज हो जाएगी। स्टाफ का लेवल एग्रीमेंट पहले हो चुका था। अगले साल जून तक तकरीबन $950 बिलियन की रकम बढ़ा दी है। इस वक्त जब पाकिस्तान को कतरे कतरे की ज़रूरत है, IMF प्रोग्राम मंजूर ना होता तो शायद डॉलर और ऊपर चला जाता। वफाकी वज़ीर मनसूबाबंदी एहसन इकबाल की गुफ्तगू। कहा कि PTI ने IMF पैकेज रोकने के लिए जो किया वो शर्मनाक और काबिल मुज़म्मत है।
ज़्यादा दरकार होगा बहाली के लिए, और जो नुकसान हुआ है वो मुख्तलिफ शोबों में उसको पूरा करने के लिए एक हमें बड़ी सरमाया दरकार होगा, जिसे हम इब्तिदा में अपने वसाइल से इंशाअल्लाह ताला कोशिश करेंगे जिस हद तक उस पर हम अमल कर सकें, अपने बहनों और भाइयों की मदद कर सकें, उसे करेंगे। वज़ीर आज़म शहबाज शरीफ साहब की कमिटमेंट है कि हम अपने अखराजात में कटौती करें और जितने ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा वसाइल सैलाब ज़दगान की मदद के लिए हम मुहैया कर सकते हैं वो मुहैया करें। हम पाकिस्तान का जो तरक्याती बजट है उसका भी जायज़ा ले रहे हैं। उसमें से भी जो सेविंग हम कर सकते हैं, जो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा फंड्स फ्लड रिहेबिलिटेशन और रिकन्स्ट्रक्शन में डाइवर्ट कर सकते हैं, उन्हें हम करेंगे। ये एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है जिसका मुकाबला पूरी कौम ने मिलकर करना है। इसमें सब पाकिस्तानियों ने और ख़ास तौर पे वो हमारे शहरी जो सैलाब और बारिशों से महफूज रहे हैं, उनका फ़र्ज़ है कि उन अपने बहनों भाइयों की मदद के लिए जो सैलाब और बारिशों का निशाना बने हैं, उनकी मदद करने के लिए दिल खोल कर इन सरगर्मियों में, इमदादी सरगर्मियों में, रिलीफ ऑपरेशंस में और बहाली के अमल में मदद करें, उनका हाथ पकड़ें। और ख़ास तौर पे मैं पाकिस्तान की बिज़नेस कम्युनिटी से अपील करना चाहता हूँ कि ये वक्त पाकिस्तान की तामीर नौ का वक्त है। ये वक्त पाकिस्तान के अवाम को मुश्किल की घड़ी में सहारा देने का वक्त है और मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि पाकिस्तान की बिज़नेस कम्युनिटी, पाकिस्तान के साहिब सरवत हजरात दिल खोल के इसमें हिस्सा लेंगे। इसी तरह ओवरसीज़ पाकिस्तान
दफ्तर खारजा में तकरीब जारी है, आइए आपको लिए चलते हैं।
करना चाहते हैं अगर
how we are going to use these disasters, because as Ambassador Hashemi mentioned, this is not the first and not be the last disaster that we are going to be facing, and all of our nations are facing with such a situation. Every day we need to be waiting for that. So how we are going to use this opportunity for using the lesson learned and the best practices, because that used to addressing the consequences of such a disaster. Look at the plan that has been provided on behalf of us. It is quite will be very useful for the many nations to use it in the future disasters. And it is really commendable the efforts of the Pakistani governments that has been as a first responders to the disasters, that has been actively engaged in comprehensively responding to the humanitarian needs of their peoples, and it would be quite useful in order to making and using the lesson learned from the response of the government people, Pakistani peoples to for the other countries. And another issue is the long-term consequences of the issue, because maybe in the few days, the needs of the peoples have been addressed, and since it is in the news, but maybe in the few next months, the situations will be much more difficult for the peoples that are affected. Maybe for the years they will get faced with the consequences. How we could actually support the peoples that has been affected in the long term. Thank you. I thank the representative of Iran for his remarks. I'm also informed by colleagues in Islamabad that there will be further remarks from there, and they've requested that if we could perhaps keep our comments to be as brief as possible to give them the opportunity to also speak. I would now like to hand the floor to the representative of the United Kingdom.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Foreign Minister. Thank you, Your Excellencies and delegates. Thank you for briefing us and to all your agencies working on the relief effort. May I start by expressing the deep condolences of the UK people who share with Pakistan strong and deep ties, and the shock at the magnitude and the scale, unprecedented scale, of the floods that we've just heard about. As you know, £1.5 million has already immediately been put towards the very urgent relief effort. I know I'm in touch with our High Commissioner in Islamabad, Karachi, Lahore. All of our teams are on crisis watch and following very closely, working with your colleagues in Pakistan on needs assessments and on a further response to the UN flash appeal, which our colleagues in London are working on. As I speak, I'm receiving updates, and we'll have more news for you on that soon. We're also watching in the next 48 hours as this proceeds, but also very much seized of the fact that this will have implications and consequences on livelihoods, on reconstruction needs for the rest of this year and the years to come. So we were with you in that rebuilding effort. And we're, of course, very seized of this stark reminder of the climate moment that we're in. As presidency of the UK presidency of COP this year, it's very urgent for all of us to remember our global duty. We've pledged £55 million to Pakistan on climate. Hamari dunya, hamari zimmedari hai. It's our duty globally. So this is to say 1.5 million is the start of our support. We continue to work with you and support the people of Pakistan at this time. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the United Kingdom and would now like to hand the floor to the representative of New Zealand.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to all honourable speakers here and in Islamabad who have briefed today. We in New Zealand are deeply concerned about the alarming humanitarian situation caused by the floods in Pakistan, and we commend the government of Pakistan and aid agencies for the critical and courageous response work undertaken so far. To support this response, Aotearoa New Zealand has announced a contribution of 500,000 New Zealand dollars to the International Federation of the Red Cross appeal, and our thoughts remain with the people of Pakistan that have been impacted, especially those who have lost loved ones, homes and livelihoods. Thank you.
I thank the representative of New Zealand for her remarks and would now like to hand the floor to the representative of Azerbaijan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We would like to firstly thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Pakistan and OCHA for organizing this launch event for the response plan, which is very timely and important at this critical moment of disaster that brotherly nation of Pakistan faces. We also thank the government and distinguished speakers for providing clear picture of causes of disaster, humanitarian situation driven by it, and information on the urgent needs on the ground. Devastating floods in Pakistan and victims suffered from the calamity once again demonstrated the importance of global solidarity. Therefore, support and response measures being provided by humanitarian partners delivering assistance to those affected are of paramount importance. Let me inform you that the government of Azerbaijan has immediately allocated $2 million of emergency relief to directly support brotherly Pakistan in its efforts to overcome the challenge posed by the disaster. Azerbaijan supports the ongoing efforts toward ensuring the urgent humanitarian needs of affected population and soonest elimination of grave consequences of this natural disaster. In these hard times, our thoughts are with the people of Pakistan, and we believe that with continuing support of international community, Pakistan will soon overcome this challenge. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Azerbaijan for his remarks. I would now like to hand the floor to the representative of Malaysia.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Malaysia is deeply saddened by the devastation caused by the unprecedented rainfall and floods across Pakistan. Malaysia would like to express its deepest condolences to the government and people of Pakistan whose families are affected by the loss of lives, livelihoods, and also loss of property due to the flood. We extend our sincere sympathy to the bereaved family and wish those injured a speedy recovery. Malaysia stands in solidarity with Pakistan during this time of need and hope that humanitarian and recovery efforts to be managed accordingly in a timely manner, including access to food, clean drinking water, health and medical equipment, and also shelter. Thank you.
I would like to thank the representative of Malaysia for his remarks and would now like to hand the floor to the representative of the United States.
Thank you. I would like to echo the comments of my colleagues in offering our condolences to the people of Pakistan who are suffering from these catastrophic floods. We appreciate this comprehensive briefing. The United States generously supports humanitarian relief and assistance around the world and will continue to do so. As one example, we provided $32 million to UNHCR's work in Pakistan this year in support of the refugees that Pakistan has generously hosted for many years. These and those we have provided to other humanitarian organizations are also being used to provide relief to communities throughout Pakistan. The United States is committed to addressing climate change, and we are committed to supporting the Pakistani people in response to these unprecedented floods. Thank you.
I would like to thank the representative of the United States for her remarks. I would now like to hand the floor to the representative of Norway.
Thank you so much, Ambassador and distinguished panelists. And from Norway, we would also like to echo colleagues in, say how deeply saddened we are by the situation and the consequences of the floods in Pakistan, and how we also, again, would like to extend the condolences to the government and the people of Pakistan. As a contributor to both the SURF and to the IFRC Disaster Response Fund, we are very happy to see how quickly this funding was dispersed and used out in the field. And we think that this is exactly why we put up funds like this, and how we have seen that both the UN system and the government of Pakistan has come together in acting very quickly and focused in the current situation is also a very positive sign on the global community's ability to function even in a situation of crisis. From the Norwegian side, we would like to comment that we would continue to look into both the response plan as it has been presented here today, and to see how we can be helpful. We would also be interested if there are some more information about the displaced people and the situation in the camps. We would be very interested to get updates about that, and we will continue to work with you to be helpful and also to think about how we can prevent disasters like this in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you to the representative of Norway for her remarks. I would now like to hand the floor to the representative of Sudan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving me the floor. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express my country's sincere sympathy and heartfelt condolences to the government and people of the present Islamic Republic of Pakistan for the catastrophic loss and destruction of lives and livelihoods caused by the unprecedented scale of flood that is the country. I would like also to express Sudan's full solidarity and full support to the government and people of Pakistan. We strongly believe that at this time, the whole international community should stand side by side with the government and people of Pakistan and provide them with the very urgent needed support in order to help them to overcome this difficult time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the representative of the Sudan for his remarks. I would now like to hand the floor to the representative of Korea.
Thank you, Chair. The Republic of Korea would also like to convey the deepest condolence to the people of Pakistan, those who are experiencing hardships from the severe floods. We welcome the flash appeal and flood response plan launched today, and we are confident that it will contribute to prompt, coordinated efforts for the response and to building a basis for resilience. Staying aligned with all those affected by the terrible natural disaster in Pakistan, as well as the general supporters of the world, the Korean government has decided to allocate $300,000 in humanitarian assistance to the Pakistani government and its people. Standing with the people of Pakistan, the Republic of Korea reiterates its commitment to be an active of those affected by the disaster and humanitarian agencies working in the disaster response. I thank you.
I would like to thank the representative of the Republic of Korea for her remarks. I would now like to hand the floor to the representative of Spain.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Rajasingham, Director for Humanitarian Coordination, and also Excellency Ambassador of Pakistan and Mr. Castellanos, for Deputy Secretary for Coordination of Operations of the IFRC. Let me start by reiterating the condolences that, to the people and the government of Pakistan that have been already conveyed by His Majesty the King to the President of the Republic in this terrible time of loss. As an immediate reaction, Spain has already allocated 300,000 euros through the IFRC fund of reserve for these kind of emergencies. This will be added to our regular annual contribution to the SURF this year of 2.5 million to respond to this type of crisis. We remain committed at this time to assist through our reliable partners, all the people of Pakistan, and in particular through our embassy in Islamabad, which is in contact with the Pakistani government. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the representative of Spain for his remarks, and I would now like to hand the floor to the representative of WHO, the World Health Organization.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Dr. Sosifal, Assistant Director General for Emergency Response in WHO. I first of all express my sincere condolence and solidarity to the people of Pakistan, and we are working very closely with all UN partner, humanitarian partner, and the coordination of the resident coordinator, Mr. Julian Harvest, and we are very concerned about the increased risk of waterborne diseases, vector-borne diseases, and it's really important in addition to the prevention measures to be able to anticipate the upcoming risks. And WHO is already working at the tier level to provide the life-saving medical supply using our contingency fund for emergency. We have raised $5 million to start the response, but the needs are much more bigger and will continue increasing. So making sure that the continuity of health services is ensured, and we are able also to strengthen the surveillance system using our polio network, and the government capacity will be extremely important. So we really want to make sure that the health needs are prioritized, because people will die from disease at the end of the day if you don't do the necessary preventive action. Thank you.
Thank you to the representative of WHO for his remarks. I would now like to hand the floor to the representative of the OIC.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for convening this timely and informative meeting on the Pakistan floods response plan. Devastating monsoon rains and flooding in Pakistan have claimed more than 1,000 lives and continue to affect millions, resulting in a dire humanitarian situation with thousands deprived of food, water, and shelter. These unusual rains and severe weather-related incidents are a stark reminder that climate change is making weather more extreme across the globe, with a particularly heightened impact on the most vulnerable populations. Please let me reiterate here that the OIC is deeply saddened by the current crisis in Pakistan. His Excellency Ibrahim Taha, Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, has already conveyed his deepest condolences to the government and people of Pakistan, and has urged all OIC member states, Islamic humanitarian organizations, and the international community at large to deploy emergency assistance to alleviate the suffering of the affected populations. Against this backdrop, the OIC Secretary General is also planning to visit Pakistan very soon to express OIC's unwavering solidarity with the government of Pakistan and the people of Pakistan too. I thank you.
Thank you to the representative of the OIC. I would now like to hand the floor to the representative of Algeria.
Thank you very much. I'd like to convey my country's sincere solidarity to the brotherly people and government of Pakistan, as we share with them pain of this affliction after these severe floods causing heavy casualties and serious property losses. We send to the families and the victims and the Pakistani people and government our deepest and sincere condolences and sympathy. We wish a speedy recovery to the injured. Thank you for briefing us today and for presenting the Pakistan's 2022 floods response plan. Rest assured of our full support and solidarity in this difficult time to overcome considerable humanitarian situation. Thank you very much.
I thank the representative of Algeria for his remarks. I would now like to hand the floor to the representative of the Islamic Relief.
Thank you.
Foreign Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen and colleagues, Assalamu alaikum. I echo condolences on behalf of the International Humanitarian NGO Islamic Relief. My chief executive is in Pakistan now, meeting families who've lost everything, supporting the response and raising awareness of the suffering. We recognise acutely how unjust it is that the Pakistani people face such devastating impacts of climate change, having done so little to cause it. We want to add to urgent calls for increased international response to this huge crisis. The devastation is certainly worse than 2010, and the response will need to exceed that to meet needs now and prepare for winter and a massive reconstruction effort. Islamic relief teams have been on the front lines alongside many NGO and civil society colleagues for weeks, working closely with the vital national and provincial disaster management response. We have already mobilised nearly £3 million in funds towards our £15 million appeal, which amounts to more than 10% of this flash appeal launched today. We stand ready to continue support of the NDMA's leadership in this response, and we hope appeal funds will reach NGO frontline actors quickly and efficiently so we can continue to deliver urgently needed aid. Thank you.
Thank you to the representative of Islamic Relief for her remarks. I would now like to hand the floor to the representative of IOM.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. IOM would like to reiterate its full support to the government of Pakistan in the response to the crisis, especially considering its high impact mobility, together with other UN agencies, as well as national and international humanitarian partners. IOM would like to reiterate its engagement to support the National Disaster Management Authority in its role as shelter, unify sector lead at national and subnational levels, together with IFRC and sector members. Thank you.
Thank you to the representative of IOM remarks. I would now like to hand the floor to the representative of Save the Children.
So, as a result of increased poverty, we can already see negative coping mechanisms such as child labor and child marriage on the increase. Save the Children is already responding to the floods in Pakistan, in the Shaman and Pishin district of Balochistan, as well as in some districts in Sindh and in Peki. We have already reached 11,000 people, including 6,000 children, and mobilized $1.5 million US for our response, but we need more funding to scale up. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the representative of Save the Children for his remarks. We have now come to the end of our remarks here in Geneva, and I would now like to hand the floor back to our colleagues in Islamabad with our thoughts and prayers and condolences to the people of Pakistan for all that they have lost and that they are undergoing. Thank you.
And all the colleagues present in Geneva.
As you are well aware, we have overshot the time that was available for this briefing session, so we will not be able to open the floor here. I thank you all once again for joining us today, both in Islamabad and in Geneva, and for the expressions of solidarity and support for the people of Pakistan in this difficult time. It is indeed very much appreciated. This brings us to the close of the event. Thank you once again. Thank you in Geneva. Bye.
ملک بھر میں سیلاب کی تباہ کاریاں جاری، مزید 75 افراد جاں بحق ہو گئے، 10 لاکھ مکان تباہ ہوئے جبکہ ہزاروں کلومیٹر سڑکیں ٹوٹ پھوٹ کا شکار ہوئیں۔ مزید جانتے ہیں اس رپورٹ میں۔
نیشنل ڈیزاسٹر مینجمنٹ اتھارٹی نے ملک میں بارشوں اور سیلاب کی تباہ کاریوں کے اعداد و شمار جاری کر دیے۔ گزشتہ 24 گھنٹوں میں 75 افراد جاں بحق ہوئے اور 59 زخمی ہوئے۔ NDMA کی رپورٹ کے مطابق بارشوں اور سیلاب سے اب تک 1136 افراد جاں بحق ہوئے جبکہ 1634 افراد زخمی ہوئے۔ بلوچستان میں بارشوں اور سیلاب سے 244، سندھ میں 402، پنجاب میں 168، خیبر پختونخوا میں 258، آزاد کشمیر میں 41 جبکہ گلگت بلتستان میں 22 افراد جاں بحق ہوئے۔ ملک میں بارشوں اور سیلاب سے شاہراہیں بھی بری طرح متاثر ہوئی۔ بلوچستان میں 1000 کلومیٹر شاہراہیں متاثر ہوئیں جبکہ 18 پلوں کو نقصان پہنچا۔ سندھ میں 2328 کلومیٹر شاہراہیں متاثر ہوئیں اور 60 پلوں کو نقصان پہنچا۔ NDMA کے مطابق پنجاب میں 121 کلومیٹر سڑکیں متاثر ہوئیں۔ گلگت بلتستان میں 16 کلومیٹر شاہراہ اور 65 پلوں کو نقصان پہنچا۔
سٹار ایشیا نیوز۔ अस्सलाम वालेकुम। स्टार एशिया न्यूज़ के साथ मैं हूं खिजर भुट्टा। जानते हैं न्यूज़ हेडलाइंस। मईशत की दीवार संभलने को तैयार। IMF मईशत की दीवार संभलने को तैयार। IMF इजलास का एलामिया जारी। $1.1 अरब किस्त की मंजूरी दे दी गई। IMF एलामिया के मुताबिक IFF प्रोग्राम के तहत 7वां और 8वां इक्तसादी जायजा मुकम्मल कर लिया गया। हुकूमत पाकिस्तान ने माली बैरूनी हालात बेहतर करने के लिए इकदाम किए। हाल ही में मंजूर करदा बजट पर अमल दरामद तरजीह होनी चाहिए। IMF प्रोग्राम की बहाली मईशत के लिए अहम है, लेकिन ये मंजिल नहीं, मरहला है जो मुल्क को माशी बहाली के रास्ते की तरफ ले जाकर जाएगा। वज़ीर आज़म शहबाज शरीफ का ट्वीट। लिखते हैं, माशी खुद इन्हसारी के लिए हमें दिन रात मेहनत करना होगी। पाकिस्तान को माशी जंजीरों के चंगल से निजात हासिल करना होगी, जिसका वाहिद रास्ता ढांचा जाती इस्लाहात हैं। IMF प्रोग्राम की मुद्दत और कर्ज में तोसी। इसहाक डार की वज़ीर ख़ारजा मुफ्ता इस्माइल की मुबारकबाद। बोले, एग्जेक्टिव बोर्ड की मंजूरी हो गई, रकम कुछ दिनों में रिलीज हो जाएगी। स्टाफ का लेवल एग्रीमेंट पहले हो चुका था। अगले साल जून तक तकरीबन $950 बिलियन की रकम बढ़ा दी जाए।
वज़ीर आज़म शहबाज शरीफ साहब की कमिटमेंट है कि हम अपने अखराजात में कटौती करें और जितने ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा वसाइल सैलाब ज़दगान की मदद के लिए हम मुहैया कर सकते हैं वो मुहैया करें। हम पाकिस्तान का जो तरक्याती बजट है उसका भी जायज़ा ले रहे हैं। फ्लड रिहेबिलिटेशन और रिकन्स्ट्रक्शन में डाइवर्ट कर सकते हैं, उन्हें हम करेंगे।
इस वक्त जब पाकिस्तान को कतरे कतरे की ज़रूरत है, IMF प्रोग्राम कल मंजूर ना होता तो शायद डॉलर और ऊपर चला जाता। वफाकी वज़ीर मनसूबाबंदी एहसन इकबाल की गुफ्तगू। कहा कि PTI ने IMF पैकेज रोकने के लिए जो किया वो शर्मनाक और काबिल मुज़म्मत है। IMF का कर्जा मंजूर हुआ है, कोई जैकपॉट नहीं लगा। इस कर्ज की वापसी कौम ने करनी है। 20 से ज़्यादा मरतबा लिए जाने वाले कर्ज पर जिसे कौम ने अदा करना है, वुज़रा शादियाने बजा रहे हैं। अवामी मुस्लिम लीग के सरबराह शेख रशीद अहमद की ट्वीट। बलोचिस्तान में सैलाब की तबाहकारियां जारी। मजीद 2 अफराद जाँ बहक। अब मात की तादाद 250 तक जा पहुंची। सबसे ज्यादा 27 हलाकतें कोयटा में हुई। सूबे में बारिशों के दौरान मुख्तलिफ हादसात में 110 अफराद जख्मी हुए। अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा की पाकिस्तान के लिए $160 मिलियन इमदाद की अपील। महाजरीन की मेज़बानी करने वाले मुल्क पाकिस्तान को मुश्किलात का सामना है। सेक्रेटरी जनरल अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा का पाकिस्तान में सैलाब की सूरत हाल पर खिताब। एंटोनियो गुतेरेस का कहना था कि पाकिस्तान में सैलाब और बारिशों से होने वाली तबाही पर रंजीदा हैं। सैलाब मुतासरीन की बहाली के लिए पाकिस्तान को इमदाद की ज़रूरत है।
72 districts have been declared calamity hit. Over 33 million people have been affected, which is the size of a small country. More than 1,100, including women and children, have lost their lives, and many more are injured. Livelihoods are severely impacted with the loss of livestock, not to mention crop losses, among other crucial sources of sustenance. Lack of access to food, clean water, shelter, and basic healthcare is making life harder for them with each passing day.
پاکستان میں سیلاب سے جو تباہکاری ہوئی ناقابل بیان ہے۔ بدقسمتی سے سیلاب سے جہاں مواصلاتی نظام درہم برہم ہوا وہاں فصلیں بھی تباہ ہوئیں۔ وزیر خارجہ بلاول بھٹو زرداری کا تقریب سے خطاب، کہا سیلاب متاثرین کو فوری طور خیموں اور مچھردانیوں کی ضرورت ہے۔ پاکستان کو عالمی برادری کی مدد کی ضرورت ہے۔ دریائے سندھ میں چاچڑا شریف کے مقام پر اونچے درجے کا سیلاب، 100 سے زائد دیہات اور فصلیں زیر آب آ گئیں، متعدد مکانات گر گئے۔ سیلابی صورتحال کے باعث حفاظتی بندوں کی مرمت کا کام جاری۔ ضلعی انتظامیہ کا کہنا ہے کہ سیلاب سے مزید دیہات متاثر ہو سکتے ہیں، مزید بستیاں اور دیہات خالی کرانے کے لیے اعلانات کیے جا رہے ہیں۔ پاک فوج کا فنڈ ریسکیو اینڈ ریلیف آپریشن جاری، آرمی چیف متاثرہ علاقوں کے دورے پر سوات پہنچ گئے۔ آرمی چیف کمراڈ کلام اور گرد و نواح میں پھنسے افراد کے انخلاء کا جائزہ لیں گے۔ آرمی چیف علاقے میں جاری امدادی کارروائیوں پر بریفنگ بھی لیں گے۔ بھوک پیاس کے ستائے بے یارو مددگار سیلاب متاثرین نے ڈیرہ مراد جمالی میں امدادی ٹرکوں پر دھاوا بول دیا۔ انتظامیہ کے مطابق امدادی سامان ضلعی انتظامیہ کی جانب سے تقسیم کے لیے لایا گیا تھا۔ سیلابی ریلوں نے ریل کا پہیہ ایک بار پھر جام کر دیا، 15 روز کے لیے ٹرین سروس بحال نہ ہونے کا امکان۔ ریلوے حکام کے مطابق ریلوے لائنز کی مکمل مرمت میں 3 ماہ لگ سکتے ہیں۔ وزیر اعلیٰ پنجاب پرویز الہی نے اپنا ہیلی کاپٹر ریلیف کاموں کے لیے وقف کر دیا۔ کابینہ کا 1 ماہ کی تنخواہ بھی ریلیف کیمپ میں دینے کا اعلان۔ چودھری پرویز الہی کا کہنا تھا کہ مشکل گھڑی میں دوسرے صوبوں کے بھی ساتھ کھڑے ہیں، گھروں، فصلوں اور لائیو سٹاک کے نقصان کا ازالہ کریں گے، ہر حقدار کو اس کا حق دیا جائے گا۔ ریاست عمران خان پر کوئی بھی منفی لیبل لگائے، پاکستانیوں کو ان پر مکمل اعتماد ہے۔ شیریں مزاری کا ٹویٹ، لکھتی ہیں جب لوگ آپ پر بھروسہ کرتے ہیں تو ہی وہ عطیہ کرتے ہیں۔ صرف 3 گھنٹوں میں عمران خان کی ٹیلی تھون نے سیلاب متاثرین کے لیے 5 ارب کا عطیہ جمع کیا۔ ریاست عمران خان پر کوئی بھی منفی لیبل لگا سکتی ہے، لیکن اندرون اور بیرون ملک پاکستانی ان پر مکمل اعتماد کرتے ہیں۔ پاکستان میں سیلاب کی تباہی کے بعد سبزیوں کا فقدان، قیمتیں آسمان تک جا پہنچی۔ پاکستان کا ایران اور افغانستان سے پیاز اور ٹماٹر درآمد کرنے کا فیصلہ، وزارت تجارت نے درآمدات کی سمری تیار کر لی۔ سمری منظوری کے لیے فوری طور پر اقتصادی رابطہ کمیٹی کو بھجوانے کا فیصلہ۔ بھارتی وزیر اعظم کا پاکستان میں سیلاب سے ہونے والی تباہی پر افسوس کا اظہار۔ نریندر مودی نے ٹویٹ پیغام میں کہا کہ قدرتی آفات سے متاثر ہونے والے سیلاب متاثرین کے لیے اہل خانہ سے دلی تعزیت کا اظہار کرتے ہیں۔ انہوں نے امید ظاہر کی کہ پاکستان میں جلد سب کچھ معمول پر آ جائے گا۔ اداروں کے خلاف بیان اور بغاوت پر اکسانے کا کیس، شہباز گل کی ضمانت کی درخواست مسترد۔ عدالت نے گزشتہ روز درخواست پر فریقین کے دلائل کے بعد فیصلہ محفوظ کیا تھا۔ بھارت کے بعد افغانستان بھی روس سے سستا تیل خریدنے کو تیار۔ ترجمان افغان وزارت اقتصادیات حبیب الرحمان حبیب نے تصدیق کر دی۔ افغان وزارت تجارت کا وفد روسی دارالحکومت ماسکو میں موجود۔ ترجمان کے مطابق افغان وفد گندم، گیس اور پیٹرول کی فراہمی کے معاہدوں کو حتمی شکل دے رہا ہے۔ اور کرکٹ اور شاہین شاہ آفریدی کے فینز کے لیے اچھی خبر، شاہین شاہ آفریدی کی بہتری کے لیے انہیں لندن بھجوانے کا فیصلہ۔ چیف میڈیکل آفیسر شاہین شاہ آفریدی کی جلد ریکوری کے لیے پر امید، بولے امید ہے شاہین شاہ ICC T20 ورلڈ کپ سے قبل مکمل فٹنس حاصل کر لیں گے۔ اب تک کے لیے اتنا ہی، دیکھتے رہیے اسٹار ایشیا نیوز۔